Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Danielle, aka Stitchery here on YouTube, and today is Wednesday, March 6th. And today I am most grateful for an easy and short work day. It is about 2:10 p.m. and our job didn't start until 12:30 p.m. my time, and I'm already done. And I say that I'm grateful for a short and easy day because as of late, work has been pretty contentious. And you know how I talked in my last video about showing up for yourself, right? And how that means different things for different people. Without divulging details, because that's not really appropriate to do here. There was a work issue that I actually showed up for myself and gave some long held in feelings about things. So I was very proud of myself for doing that. But yeah, so today is very rainy and gloomy here, and those days are good for, curling up with a good book, diamond painting, doing that kind of stuff. So since my workday ended early, I thought I would come on here and do a whip and chat with you guys. So I don't know if I told you, but not this week, but last week, I only lost 0.4 weight, 0.4 pound. That was a week where I thought I was losing nothing. And I was still glad to see the scale go in the downward direction. And this past week, so Monday is my weigh-in day. So Monday, I lost 1.4. It was either 1.4 or 1.6, where I've lost 16.6 pounds, something like that. So was very glad to see that. And, as I keep going on with it, it has gotten easier, where I tend to have 2 meals a day now, and I'm done eating by like 7-ish. I usually eat 12:30, 1 o'clock, my first meal, and then I'm done by 7 p.m. And so far it works. I have only done that 10-minute yoga thing 2 days in a row. It's hard for me to still get into that habit, but I'm striving. I'm going to do it. I'm absolutely going to do it. But I do feel a lot better. And like I said, that's one of the ways I show up for myself, is not eating junk, thinking more about my health and all of that. I did go to my foot doctor on Monday and get my orthotic inserts for my shoes, and I really like them. They feel pretty good in my shoes. I have Brooks tennis shoes, and I really like them. The colors are really pretty. Even the tech there, she was like, "Ooh, I really like those," because they all have Brooks tennis shoes there at my podiatrist. So I had received a request by someone to tell the story of DMC666. So if you have watched this channel, I told this story. It's been a good 4 or 5 years ago. It's a good one though. Like, I have some good stories. There are a handful of stories that are really good that people remember that I have told on this channel. So this particular day was a random Wednesday that I was off work. I had just completed stitching Satsuma Street's Autumn Bird. And I had stitched it on a Fantasy Dyed Fabrics, and I don't even think she's in business anymore, Fantasy Dyed Fabrics. She used to be a seller on Etsy, and she would release fabrics every Tuesday, and you just had to be there because once they sold, they sold. Jill and I had bought quite a bit of fabric from her, and she had some really wonderful pieces. So I had stitched that, and I wanted to take it to the Stitching Post, which is my local needlework store in Catonsville, when they still had their framing department. They remodeled, I want to say a year and a half ago, and they did away with their framing department because their framer retired. Which is unfortunate, because even though I know how to frame pieces myself, I have a lot of pieces in my office and in this house that I had framed by them. They did a fantastic job. But anyway, so I take this piece in. Now I'm thinking this is a random Wednesday. It's not going to be hardly anybody in there because it's a Wednesday. I have the piece on a pants hanger because I don't like to handle it too much. I just wanted it on a pants hanger. So I pull up to the store and I'm like, what the actual thing is going on here? Like the parking lot was filled. And I go in, the store is filled. And I'm like, what? They were having a sale, which I had no idea about. Okay. Well, I'm there, so I'm going to get it framed. So I go to get in line. This is where the story begins. I get in line and now there's like 3 people in front of me. So I'm holding the pants hanger so anybody that walks by me can see the piece that I've stitched, right? And this woman who I call Bird Lady because Autumn Bird, I don't know her name. I have no idea what her name was. She looks at my piece and says, oh, that's really nice. Where did you get the pattern? And I said, oh, it's Satsuma Street on Etsy. I got it online. And that is literally all I said. To tell you that this woman lost her ever-loving mind over the fact that I said I got a pattern online, you would have thought I said I committed murder. She adamantly is like, oh, I never go on the computer. I never buy patterns online, blah, 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 and on and on. I looked at her and I was like, okay, what the hell are you supposed to say to that? So she went on for a little bit and then went on her merry way. And I thought, good friggin' Lord, like, okay. So I get up there. And the way that they did the framing there at the stitching post is you only had to pay a deposit. So they would fill out all the details on the paper. And then you would take that paper up to the counter to pay. I wasn't there to purchase fabric or patterns or anything else. And especially since the store was really crowded, I really wasn't looking to buy something. I just wanted to pay the deposit for the framing. This is where the 666 part of the story comes in. I go to get in line. There's a lot of people in line. There's a whole lot of people in line. And they have 2 cashiers going. So there is a woman, and I want to say she is 2 people in front of me, enough that I can see like what she's doing. Standing in line, and I see Bird Lady in line. I cannot remember now if she was in front of me or behind me. I feel like she was behind me. Anyway, that doesn't really matter. We're in line, and someone's cell phone goes off. Now, you know how you can have like a musical ringtone to your cell phone? Like you can have any kind of song, a jingle, whatever. Well, whoever's phone this was had like this long drawn out song, and Bird Lady proceeds to dance around the line to the song. I thought to myself, dear Jesus, take the wheel. Get me out of this store. Like, what? I mean, literally dancing around the line. Okay. Here's the best part. Now, remember, there's 2 cashiers. So the person had to be in front of me. The person that was dealing with 666, and I'm going to explain how. She was at one cashier. I go up to the other one. So we're standing next to each other. This woman had done a stitched piece that was a crab, and she wanted it done in a flat fold or a cube where you would put cording around it, around the outside of it. So the cashier, they're trying to figure out the details. Now, mind you, yeah, definitely, Bird Lady was definitely behind me, okay? It's nobody's business what someone is getting on their project. You don't chime in unless they ask you. You mind your business, you stay in your lane. I hear, because I'm standing right next to her, I hear the woman say, oh, why don't we use 666 for the cording? Now, this line is, everyone talking, you can hear what everyone's saying. When this lady said, I want to use 666. Bird lady decides to pipe up and says loud enough for the entire room to hear, I never use 666. That's the devil's color. The actual fact, lady. What? I locked eyes with the cashier and through telepathy tried to tell her, please ring my stuff up so I can get out of this crazy ass store. That I love the Stitching Post. I love the people that work there. They all know me. A great store. That was the most insane, topsy-turvy, chaotic, insane. That was the most insane time I've ever had in that store. I literally, when I looked at the cashier, she looked at me and we gave each other a look like, you've got to be fucking kidding me right now. Great that you don't like that color, but again, stay in your lane. The whole entire world didn't need to hear that you never use that color because it's the devil's color. So I'm guessing you're never stitching anything Christmas or you're subbing out that 666. So now, and everyone knows the story, right? Everyone I'm close to in the stitching community at my retreats and stuff, I've told this story so many times because it was the most insane, ridiculous thing I think I've ever encountered in stitching. Whenever we see 666, everyone like looks at me, brings it up. It's like a running joke now. It seriously is a running joke. It's so OMG. That will probably be hands down the best story I've ever told, besides maybe when my grandfather fell in the ocean when Bill and I took him to, before he passed away, of course. So I can tell that story. Why not? So my aunt passed away like 7 years ago, and my grandparents were still in good health when she passed away. So she was cremated, and my grandfather wanted to put her ashes in the ocean because she loved Ocean City so much. So my grandfather asked Bill, would he drive him to Ocean City? Because my grandfather he didn't really want to drive long distances at that point. So he asked Bill, would you drive me to Ocean City? And then we'll just go down, put the ashes in the water, drive back. Well, we were thinking about like legal ramifications, right? So Bill was like, well, why don't we just drive to Aphrodite? Because this was like 2 weeks before Memorial Day. So it was like the beginning, in the middle of May. So not a lot of people were there yet. It wasn't in season yet. It wasn't summer or any of that kind of stuff. And of course, if Bill is going to drive my grandfather to Ocean City, I'm going along because Ocean City, it's like a 2.5 hour ride. So we were going to drive down, do the ashes, drive back. Now, I have to preface this by saying Bill is someone who keeps all kinds of clothes in his truck. And I have always gotten on him about it. Like, he'll have 8 sweatshirts in his truck, stuff like that. I keep a jacket in my car just in case, but I don't keep like a whole bunch of stuff. So I used to always get on him about that because he would bring in like a complete load of laundry when he would clean out his truck. So we drive down to Ocean City, and now my grandfather really liked Bill. And my grandfather is a talker. He literally did not shut up. Love my grandfather, don't get me wrong. He literally did not shut up the entire ride, up or back. We get there, we park. There's a parking lot that has actually like 2 or 3 porta potties in the parking lot, and that's going to come into play later. He has the bag of ashes. So we walk down to the beach, and there's like, we only see 2 people who are way, way down. There's like no one on the beach. It was chilly. It was chilly that day. So I say to my grandfather, I said, Pop, we're going to stand back here. Just go down to the water's edge, put the ashes in, and I'll try to take a picture. I can laugh about this now, but we were not laughing. Now, mind you, we are in sweatshirts, long sleeve. My grandfather was in jeans and a flannel shirt because that's what he wore almost all the time. I was in like long yoga pants and a sweatshirt, and Bill was in jeans and a sweatshirt. My grandfather goes down to the water's edge. We see him empty the bag into the water, and all of a sudden we see him fall face first into the water. And when I mean face first, the bag is out of his hands, he's face first, and waves are now crashing over my grandfather. I scream, Bill and I run down to the water. We're now wet up to our knees. We each have to grab my grandfather, who is now wet from head to toe, and pick him up. He was not able to get up on his own. We get him up, we get him back away from the water, and he calms down, and I was like, what happened? Like, what was that? He said when he looked down in the water, it was just swirling, and it like made him disoriented or dizzy. And he was concerned about the bag being gone into the ocean. I'm like, Pop, don't even worry about it. The bag is gone. We're not getting the bag back. So now we have to figure out, what the hell are we doing with my grandfather now that he's wet from head to toe? Clothes soaking wet, underwear soaking wet. He's soaked. And I said to myself, Pop, we're going to have to take you to Walmart to get clothes. There was a Walmart in Cambridge, which is like, I don't know, 20 minutes down there. I don't know. There was a Walmart that was close enough by. Bill's like, I think I have a sweatsuit in my truck. Bill had a complete outfit for my grandfather to put on. So he grabs it, and my grandfather is changing in the porta potty. And he was in there so long, I was like, I need to go check on him. So I knock lightly on the door. I'm like, Pop, are you all right? Because imagine trying to change in a porta potty. And he was like, oh yeah, I'm good. So he comes out, and from that moment on, I never chastised or got on Bill's ass about keeping clothes in his truck. Because if he wouldn't have had those clothes in the truck at that time, my grandfather would have had nothing to put on and would have been sitting in the truck in wet clothes. And I'm telling you, so we get back to my grandparents' house because we're dropping my grandfather off. And I don't remember why this day, but like my mom and my stepfather and Charlize were over there. And so was my brother. And I think he was married to his first wife at that time. Like a whole bunch of people were over there. By this time when we come back, we're exhausted. We've been in the car for 5 hours. The incident happened with the water. And so we walk in and they're like, oh, how'd it go? And I bust out laughing. I was like, you're not even going to believe what happened. So I told it very quickly and they were all like, what? Yeah. So, and mind you, when we took him, I was going through cancer treatment. I was going through chemo and radiation and all that good stuff. So yeah, that is a good Pop story. Craziness. I mean, there have been some really crazy stories that have happened to me, you know. But okay, I had taken a break from reading. I have a couple books on hold at the library that I'm waiting to come in. But in the meantime, I said, I need to find a book to read. I canceled my Kindle Unlimited because I'm really just trying to cut the fat and not spend extra money. So I went on I use the Libby app on my phone, and I went on there and I found this book, which I am enjoying immensely, and I'd never heard of this story before. So the book is called Anna O, and it is by, let me search it for a second. Anna O by Matthew Blake. And what I like about it too is that it has short chapters, so you can read a whole bunch. They're told in alternating perspectives of the people. And I'm already 40% of the way through it, and I just started it. Today's Wednesday. I want to say I started it Monday, maybe. Okay, so here is the premise. We spend an average of 33 years of our lives asleep, but what really happens and what are we capable of when we sleep? Anna Ogilvy was a budding 25-year-old writer with a bright future. Then one night, she stabbed 2 people to death with no apparent motive and hasn't woken up since. Dubbed Sleeping Beauty by the tabloids, Anna's condition is a rare psychosomatic disorder known to neurologists as resignation syndrome. Dr. Benedict Prince is a forensic psychologist and an expert in the field of sleep-related homicides. His methods are the last hope of solving the infamous Anna O case and waking Anna up so she can stand trial. But he must be careful treating such a high-profile suspect. He's got career secrets and a complicated personal life of his own. As Anna shows the first signs of stirring, Benedict must determine what really happened and whether Anna should be held responsible for her crimes. Only Anna knows the truth about that night, but only Benedict knows how to discover it. And they're both in danger from what they find out. It's so good. I will link it down below. I love it. And I'm really glad because it's been a minute since I have really found a book that I have absolutely loved. Remember, I took a break from reading, but I missed it because it's what I try to do now before bed instead of turning on the TV, because turning on the TV for me now at bedtime just stimulates my brain and then I can't go to sleep. And I've also been really conscious of what I have been taking in as far as shows and movies I've been watching. I think I'm going to give the true crime stories a break and instead read some motivational stories, if I can call it that. If there is a book that you guys would like me to read or stories or something, please leave me a comment down below. I'm always looking for ideas, but reading the true crime, I mean, I'm trying to be really conscious of bringing in negativity into myself, even when it's through reading stories. Like the book I'm reading, I know that's fairly negative, I guess. You know, it is crime. But I'm just trying to be careful. I'm trying to be careful. So I thought I have a book called Top 100 Motivational Stories. So I thought I would read a couple of them and try to make this video maybe a half hour. I haven't done any stitching this week. I just haven't had... I've diamond painted. I definitely got some diamond painting done yesterday. And what movie did I watch yesterday and I really liked it? Oh, it was the movie about Gwen Shamblin. It was the one Jennifer Grey starred in it, where Gwen Shamblin had started this Way Down movement about losing weight with God's help. And it just snowballed into this, I don't even know what to call it. My mouth was hanging open at the end of the story because, see, I didn't know her story beforehand. So all of it was a surprise when I watched it. It actually was a Lifetime movie. I was off work yesterday. Our job had canceled. So I did a lot of house stuff, and then I sat down and I watched that movie and I diamond painted. Did a lot of diamond painting yesterday. So, okay, let's read a couple of these stories. So this one is called Weakness or Strength. Sometimes your biggest weakness can become your biggest strength. Oh, before I even start this, remember I've been listening to Eddie Pinero's videos on YouTube. One of his sayings, and I almost want to turn this into like a cross-stitch pattern if I was a designer. He was talking the other day in one of his videos. You know, there's a saying, you know, if you're going to walk the walk, if you're going to talk the talk, you better walk the walk, right? He said, and this resonated with me, and I even mentioned it to Bill. He said, what you do speaks so loud that I can't hear what you're saying. Meaning, it doesn't matter what you say. Your actions speak volumes. Your actions really tell the tale of what kind of person you are and what you're doing. What you do speaks so loud that I can't hear what you're saying. I loved that. When he said it, I was like, wow. I never quite thought of it like that, but it's true. It's absolutely true. Okay, so back to the story. Sometimes your biggest weakness can become your biggest strength. Take, for example, the story of one 10-year-old boy who decided to study judo despite the fact that he had lost his left arm in a devastating car accident. The boy began lessons with an old Japanese judo master. The boy was doing well, so he couldn't understand why, after 3 months of training, the master had taught him only one move. "Sensei," the boy finally said, "shouldn't I be learning more moves?" "This is the only move you know, but this is the only move you'll ever need to know," the sensei replied. Not quite understanding, but believing in his teacher, the boy kept training. Several months later, the sensei took the boy to his first tournament. Surprising himself, the boy easily won his first 2 matches. The third match proved to be more difficult, but after some time, his opponent became impatient and charged. The boy deftly used his one move to win the match. Still amazed by his success, the boy was now in the finals. This time, his opponent was bigger, stronger, and more experienced. For a while, the boy appeared to be overmatched. Concerned that the boy might get hurt, the referee called a timeout. He was about to stop the match when the sensei intervened. "No," the sensei insisted, "let him continue." Soon after the match resumed, his opponent made a critical mistake. He dropped his guard. Instantly, the boy used his move to pin him. The boy had won the match and the tournament. He was the champion. On the way home, the boy and sensei reviewed every move in each and every match. Then the boy summoned the courage to ask what was really on his mind. "Sensei, how did I win the tournament with only one move?" "You won for 2 reasons," the sensei answered. "First, you've almost mastered one of the most difficult throws in all of judo. And second, the only known defense for that move is for your opponent to grip your left arm." The boy's biggest weakness had become his biggest strength. So, yeah, I mean, I love that because I think we all have genius inside of us for something. Everyone's given talents, everyone's given gifts, and in the face of adversity, I think it's really important that we remember that and figure out how to move forward just in a different way, right? Okay. Here's one. God, make me a TV. Students at an elementary school were asked to write an essay about what they would like God to do for them. At the end of the day, while grading the essays, a teacher read one that made her very emotional. Her husband, who had just walked in, saw her crying and asked her what happened. She answered, "Read this. It is one of my school's students' essays." The essay said, "Oh God, tonight I ask you something very special. Make me into a television set. I want to take its place and live like the TV in my house. Have my own special place and have my family around me. To be taken seriously when I talk. I want to be the center of attention and be heard without interruptions or questions. I want to receive the same special care as the TV set receives, even when it is not working. Have the company of my dad when he arrives home from work, even when he is tired. And I want my mom to want me when she is sad and upset instead of ignoring me. And I want my brothers to fight to be with me. I want to feel that family just leaves everything aside every now and then just to spend some time with me. And last but not least, ensure that I can make them all happy and entertain them. Lord, I don't ask you for much. I just want to live like a TV." At that moment, the husband said, "My God, poor kid, what horrible parents." The wife looks up at him and says, "That essay is our son's essay." So that's why she was crying, because it was her son that said that. And wow, just... Okay, I'm going to read one more. And it is probably my favorite story. And I just told Bill this story the other day because he had never heard of it. But I've heard Wayne Dyer tell it, and I heard somebody else tell it. It is called The Cookie Thief. A woman was waiting at an airport one night with several long hours before her flight. She hunted for a book in the airport shops, bought a bag of cookies, and found a place to drop. She was engrossed in her book, but happened to see that the man sitting beside her, as bold as could be, grabbed a cookie or two from the bag in between, which she tried to ignore to avoid a scene. So she munched the cookies and watched the clock as the gutsy cookie thief diminished her stock. She was getting more irritated as the minutes ticked by, thinking if I wasn't so nice, I would blacken his eye. With each cookie she took, he took one too. When only one was left, she wondered what he would do. With a smile on his face and a nervous laugh, he took the last cookie and broke it in half. He offered her half as he ate the other, and she snatched it from him and thought, "Ooh, brother, this guy has some nerve and he's also rude. Why, he didn't even show any gratitude." She had never known when she had been so galled, and sighed with relief when her flight was called. She gathered her belongings and headed to the gate, refusing to look back at the thieving ingrate. She boarded the plane and sank in her seat. Then she sought her book, which was almost complete. As she reached in her baggage, she gasped with surprise. There was her bag of cookies in front of her eyes. "If mine are here," she moaned in despair. The others were his, and he tried to share. Too late to apologize, she realized with grief that she was the rude one, the ingrate, the thief. I mean, I just think that story speaks volumes about how you just never know someone's situation. I heard Joyce Meyer tell a story a while back that, you know, being calm in a situation where most people would be lashing out or angry can sometimes speak volumes. So one of her favorite things to do when she's out on conventions and is away from home is to go out to dinner with her husband, Dave. And she said, I think I have this right. They went to a restaurant and they didn't have their reservation. So she already was irritated by that, but they did find them a table. And the table that they found them by, I think, was near the kitchen of the restaurant. And a waitress came out with a bunch of plates on her tray and wound up stumbling or tripping and dumped all of the plates into their booth. Like, I don't know if it was on them. I don't quite remember. And, you know, most people would be appalled, I guess. And instead of making a huge monumental fuss, they were just like, it's okay. They cleaned themselves up. I think the manager comped their meal, of course, and all of that. And the waitress that had done this came over later and said to Joyce, I love you. I watch your show all the time. I'm so sorry that this happened, and on and on and on. And Joyce thought to herself, thank you, God, that I did not react in like a negative manner, right? Because that would have given that girl a very different impression of Joyce, right? So, yeah, I mean, you always have a choice. In every situation, even if someone's coming at you, you always have a choice to be the calm, reasonable person. You don't have to, although it's easier said than done, of course. You don't have to jump to their level of energy, of anger, of irritation, of whatever. And sometimes you being calm can absolutely diffuse this situation. So, but yeah, so I hoped you enjoyed hearing those couple of stories and the stories that I told from many, many videos ago, and seeing me get done some diamond painting. So as always, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments section below, and I will answer them to the best of my ability. Thank you so much for watching and subscribing, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.